with the recreational sale of marijuana, it's, from what I understand, has not been declared an affirmative right. It's more of you may, and not you have a right to. With the sale of recreational marijuana, there's a long and arduous process to make that happen. A lot of why this is, I wanted to bring this up, is because the question I have for you, for somebody who's in these committees, in these rooms, are you seeing anything coming up in that regard? Is there anything being looked at as far as the recreational sale is concerned? Is there anything coming down the proverbial pike when it comes to that sort of thing?
Not that I've seen. I think a lot of the bills that have been proposed related to marijuana use and the sale of recreational marijuana in the state is more or less just trying to the ones that probably have a chance of passing and moving forward are more or less coming from the state agencies, whether it be Department of Consumer Protection, Department of Public Health, recommendations on ways to kind of clean up or technical changes to what has already been passed regarding
additional definitions. Yeah,
exactly right. That's really about it. I don't think there's any, from my understanding, I don't think there's going to be any substantive changes to the current law as it sits today. I would be very surprised. Now, my understanding is that local communities can vote to. I think that it's with a majority vote. I believe the town council, and I could be wrong. I don't know if the zoning board would be involved in that either. Could prohibit certain cannabis dispensaries or shops in the town. They still have the right to do that. I don't know if some legislators would be looking to remove that right. I haven't seen a bill that says that, but would I be surprised if some legislator proposed something like that? No. But I would be hard pressed to believe that would pass or even move forward this session. But that's the only thing I could think of that would be substantive, and maybe some legislator might. I would be 100% against that. But that would be the only thing I could think of that some legislator might be proposing that would be a substantive change to the current law that we now have in the books. Other than that, I think everything else you're going to see in that regard is probably going to be just technical definition type changes, basically supplementing the regulatory structure that's been advanced in recent months and weeks we've seen here.
Yeah, so nothing critically substantive, but maybe there's a distant chance that an agency might clarify, say, a definition or something like that, or propose an additional definition.
Yeah. I wouldn't say even an outside. I think that's a lot of the times when you pass monumental type, and I would classify this as kind of a monumental type of legislation that's big and complex and impacts the entire state. And I would argue this bill that just passed legalizing the recreational use of marijuana, I would argue, so I would classify that in that regard. Usually when you see those bills pass, they are so complex that oftentimes they have to be revisited for technical changes, because there's a definition that for whatever reason some agency is reading one way that they shouldn't be. It should be read the other way, or whatever the case may be. And there needs to be technical changes, but it doesn't actually impact the law at the end of the day. It's all regulatory and nominal, really, to the majority of individuals that may be participating in recreational use or purchasing recreational marijuana.
So as far as the sale is concerned, it became the effectuation of the law took effect on the morning of January 10th. And the reason I'm asking this is to kind of get at the question of, like, what should towns expect over, say, the course of this legislative session this year? In the sense of, I kind of have a take of Hartford is going to do what Hartford's going to do. So what should the towns be really expecting here in this, as far as this is concerned, as this gets rolled out?
It would be more regulatory advisements from Department of Consumer Protection and DPH is what you'd see. I don't think you're going to see anything legislative at this point.
Okay.
The legislative aspect of the marijuana legalization is done.
It's a dead issue. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Other than technical stuff that is just reaffirming what some regulatory body is doing. In terms of legislation, I wouldn't expect anything. The only substantive thing that I could see a legislator proposing, I talked about, would be maybe taking out certain provisions that allow towns to ban the cannabis stores from forming. But again, that's just a kind of an outside thought of, I could see a legislator or two proposing that if it hasn't already been proposed. However, I want to just reaffirm the fact that I don't see how that actually would pass, and that anything other than reaffirming regulations or making a nominal technical definition change is all you're going to see, I would think, from the legislature this year regarding marijuana.